College writing. First time that you go into it, you think, hey, I just did this all back in high school. How different can this be? It is incredibly different, and nobody warns you until you hand in your first paper. A paper back in high school would have done you great, but in college, it just got you a C. Or at least that's my whole writing experience. If you're thinking right now,
brother, this guy stinks!
Why should I listen to him? Because I've had a complete 180 in my writing, turning my English 101Ds to 102As. Wow! How did I do it? With 3 key writing factors that I'm going to share with you. Hi, my name's Dominic, and this is some tips to help improve your college writing, or at least to make college writing a little bit less scary. Let's get started. Okay, so the first point we got to talk about is the who we're writing to. In this case, it can be described as a discourse community. What's a discourse community, you might ask? Well, Milzer, I'm not sure how to spell their name, I'm going to put it right here. Author of Understanding Discourse Community puts it as, to describe a community of people who shares the same goal, the same method of communicating, the same genre, and the same lexis. Now, that is a lot of words. What do they mean? Basically, what this is stating is the who you're writing to, the language you have to use, the things like that. For example, when you write a paper, who are you writing it to? Usually, your college professor. In this case, Miller is challenging you to instead position yourself as being a part of a discussion, if you will, a discourse even. But I hear you say, oh, this just sounds like a group discussion. What's the difference? The big thing is that there's a niche being discussed. For example, the Dog Walkers Guild is going to have a much different time discussing things than maybe a group of philosophers discussing the efficacy of duct tape. I don't know. But the thing is, these niches and communicating within these groups comes with a different rule set. And that brings us to our next point. I ripped it. I'm keeping this in. And I ripped it. We're gonna fix it. Welcome to my arts and craft corner of the video. Rules of writing. Within each discourse community that you read and write for, there's going to be different rules applied to each one. However, Teresa Thorney, author of Teaching the Conventions of Academic Discourse, I knew that off the top of my head, I'm definitely not looking at my notes, read 24 different research articles and found each one followed a kind of guideline of 6 points. Now, I don't have time to discuss all 6. However, when we discuss our last point in this video, we're kind of going over them, so you're not missing out on much. But there are 2 points that Thorney brings up that I believe are very important. Number 1, academic writers use academic and discipline-specific vocabulary. What does that mean? Well, it kind of is exactly what it sounds like. Different communities and different discourses are going to have different vocabularies established with them. However, within most college writing, it's going to be very... professional is kind of the direction, but if you ever need a hand, if you search up just lexicon bundles and go over the images on Google and just keep scrolling through those, you will find plenty of great resources there. And 2, academic writers state the value of their work and announce the plans for their paper. Basically what this means is, remember back in high school when you would be writing a paper and your teacher would get upset at you for saying, in this paper I will be discussing. Yeah, turns out in college, they kind of want you to do that. Not for everything. You should still have hooks and things for certain scenarios. That's how it's good to know what discourse community you're writing for. However, for most scholars' papers, they will state things like that because most scholars are trying to save time in their reading. They're trying to scan through the bazillions of papers they read in order to accumulate their own voice. And so they will very, very much state exactly what's going on. Now that we know how to write to a discourse community, how exactly do we make sure that your voice actually means something to the community? It is something that actually take notice of. That's where we get into our last point. Authority. First, what is authority? Basically, it's stating the ideas of others with your voice, but at the same time, maintaining your voice and your ideas. Because too many ideas of other people, and now you're a reporter. Too little, and your voice doesn't really have any authority. So, how do we keep a good balance? Well, Reading and Writing Without Authority, made by Anne M. Penrose and Shirley Jalistio, I cannot pronounce their name, I'm so sorry, I'm going to put it down here, states 4 idea shifts for us as writers. Starting off, texts are authorized. It's kind of exactly what it sounds like. Anything you read was made by another author. That should be something you're keeping in mind. So that way, instead of it just feeling like this is some no one that you're reading, instead, you're reading someone who's a part of their own discourse community. The second point that Anna and Shirley state in their paper is that authors present knowledge in the form of claims. Basically, what this means is that when authors present their knowledge, they present it as, it seems this to be, or I believe it's this because of this. The reason they do this is because they know the discourse community they're in are going to have different opinions. So when stating your ideas towards a subject, it's good to state them as, it seems. Going back over to the rules of writing, those lexicon bundles will usually include words like that. So finding things to help you out there aren't too bad. But this also brings us into our next point. That knowledge claims can conflict with one another and that knowledge claims can be tested. For example, one author's opinion can very much conflict with another author's opinion you just read about. However, neither one of the sides of this argument could be right. So that's when you step in and form your own opinion, your own idea. You can pull from both of those ideas and formulate your own opinion and your own knowledge claim, as long as, of course, you bring up other parts of the discussion. And knowledge claims can be tested. It's exactly what it sounds like. You can test the claims of authors. And finally, this brings us to our last thing, our bonus thing, might I add. Tips. These are just little snippets that I've learned from going through college. I mean, I'm a sophomore in third semester. There we go. So take these with a grain of salt, but at the same time, take them with a lot of salt. Who knows? They might help you. First off, Rate My Professor. Rate My Professor is a phenomenal tool. It's a great way of seeing the class before you even step into the classroom, because in the end of the day, not all professors are created equal. So it's a great way of checking out your class. Second tip, it's okay to get C's and D's. I wish somebody had told me that my first time going into college. It's okay to have a bumpy start and even a bumpy way through college. In the end of the day, C's get degrees. Remember that. Relieve yourself of that stress. You're going to do great. And my final tip for you is that if you're making a video, just know you don't need to go out and buy fancy equipment. Instead, what you can do is what I did, which is get a chair, a box cover, and a trash can and stack them all up together. And then get some stuff that you stole from your sister and put it up as a backdrop. And then voila! It looks like I'm a professional filmer now. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and all of the things that I've quoted and all the resources will be down in the description. I'd highly recommend taking a good read at them. I'll put them in order for what I recommend reading them in. And yeah, it's a lot of words, but at the same time, getting a good understanding of all of these points, the community you're writing to, the rules in which that community writes, and then understanding about how your voice can mean something in those communities can mean a lot to your writing. And these are all points I wish I had starting college. So anyway, have a great rest of your day, guys, and good luck with your first year of college. Bye!